Today, we're stepping into our virtual Virginia This Morning library with author Brad Parks as we take a sneak peek into the pages of his new release, Interference. Hey, Brad.
Hey, Andres, how are you?
I am doing well. So excited. I have read about the book, and there are some things that I definitely want to dive into. You've taken
Excellent.
your love of science, current events of the world, and your success as an author to create Interference. And the book really seems to blend some of those real world concerns that we have with your signature style of writing. So what was the inspiration for the book?
So I've been a science nerd for a long, long time. Not that I was ever any good at science in school, but I always loved the ideas of science and the stories of science. And I think for a number of years, I was trying to figure out, okay, how can I fit my book to the science? And then finally, I had the flash of inspiration. I need to fit the science to my book. And once I did that, I within about 15 minutes, I had this idea for a physicist who goes missing, and they have to use something called quantum entanglement to find him.
The words quantum
I
entanglement
know.
just give me all sorts of curiosity. So this is a real thing. Quantum
This is
entanglement is
actually
not
a real thing. And it
Yeah.
sounds so goofy, right? But here it is. So we're going to get a Virginia This Morning science lesson, right?
Okay, perfect.
Every now and then, two particles can be born entangled, we call it. And when this happens, you can separate them by any distance you want to. You tickle one, and the other feels it immediately with no delay, nothing coming in between it. And it's this wild, wild idea. Actually, Einstein was one of the first people to come across this, and he thought it was absurd, right? He called it spooky action at a distance, and he insisted it could not possibly be true. But in the 70 or so years since he said that, we've done a number of experiments that have proven that entanglement actually exists, right? The Chinese have actually launched a satellite that have shown that entanglement happens over about 1,100 kilometers. And if it happens at 1,100 kilometers, it happens at much longer distances too. But the question that then fills a thriller is, if we could have particles entangled, if we could have molecules entangled, if we could even have systems of molecules entangled with each other, with this spooky interaction between each other, could we have human beings that get entangled with each other?
Oh.
And that is the premise of Interference.
Wow. Okay. So the moment that you said tickle, I was like, that is not what I was expecting. I was definitely expecting these really big science words, but thank you for keeping it at my level so I can make sure that I understand.
Physicists, they talk about like spin and momentum. So basically the tickle is, when you measure a particle, you irrevocably change it, actually. And so the only way to measure a particle is to hit it with something, right? So I call it a tickle because it sounds nicer than hitting it.
I like it.
But really, it's once you determine that one particle is, say, upspin, its paired particle immediately is downspin. And that's entanglement. Wow. And we still don't understand how it happens. Like, how does something that you can literally separate across galaxies, and you find out this one is upspin, that one immediately becomes downspin. And we still don't understand how it works.
And so you've got a scientist as one of the main characters in this book, who essentially his work is both the reason why he's encountered some issues, but also the reason why they potentially can save him.
Right. So he has been working with viruses, actually. His great endeavor is to see if he can put a virus into a quantum state and get a virus to demonstrate quantum entanglement, right? Well, in the process of this, he maybe mutates the virus and maybe gets himself sick. And by the way, I wrote all of this before COVID-19, right? And as I was writing it, I was like, okay, so if I describe to people a novel virus that has never before infected humanity, will readers be able to understand how potentially devastating this is? Yeah, I think they'll get it. And so thankfully, I didn't hit that note too hard because I don't think anybody needs a heavy description of how dangerous that can be anymore.
Well, we're all at least a little bit familiar.
Yeah, just a touch.
Gives us an interesting viewpoint on the book and the topics. I think it's just so interesting. And you've won some of the most prestigious awards as it relates to this category of novel. So I'm interested in your process.
Right.
How does Brad Parks get started, and where do you write these books?
Well, up until COVID hit, I wrote at a Hardee's restaurant, Andreas. And unfortunately, I can't go to Hardee's anymore, which has really been kind of devastating to my process, because there's nothing like your viewers can see I'm behind a door right now. This is the door to my bedroom. And basically I hide in my bedroom all the time because it's the one room in the house that the kids don't have to go into and out of all the time. So I can get a little bit of privacy. So for right now, yeah, I sit on my bed, which is right over there. I'm not going to show it to you because it's not made. And I sit there. But really, there's a lot of mysticism about how writers write and how novels are formed. And it's really not that different from any other work you do. You have to, I sometimes get a little forensic about it. I call it butt in chair, hands on keyboard, typing away madly. And if people don't understand, it's like, okay, so first you attach your butt to the chair, and then you attach your fingers to the keyboard, and then you start typing like mad. And that's really what you do. And if you do that every day, faithfully, I'm generally up by about 6 o'clock in the morning and writing by about 6:03. And I write until the words stop making sense. And if you do that every day, guess what? You have the rough draft of a novel in about 3 or 4 months.
Incredible. I mean, the process, your personality, I cannot wait to read, because I just think there's so much there, from the tickle of quantum entanglement to just the incredible plot that these characters are entangled in. So
Right.
I am so excited, so happy for you, and wish you all the best with your new book.
Well, it's been great to be in the library with you, Andreas. I really enjoyed it. And I certainly hope you enjoy the read.
Thank you. For those of you who are ready to purchase your copy of the book, it is out at your favorite bookstores, but we're going to be posting more information on our website at wtbr.com/ATM.